this is most important, it is your peer group. And Rod said it this way. He said, I want to hang around with people where the things I think are hard, they think are easy. And he talked about like when he went through and lost $50 million in the 2008, 2009 collapse, mostly because he was overly invested in single family. His multifamily, which is what he teaches now, did great then, but he lost $50 million on the residential side. And he was in a peer group that told him like, yeah, okay, so, that's happened to me before too, but you get back up and do it differently. And this is how you do it. And he was like blown away. And when I look back on my journey and the peer groups I've surrounded myself with, most of it has been outside of real estate. I've spent over $1 million on personal development, business coaching, real estate coaching, wealth coaching, tax planning coaching, like anything, life coaching, anything you can imagine. I've spent money on. Most of it was really, really good and kind of moved me forward in my journey. And there's some of it that I was like, man, like 2 weeks into a 1-year commitment, I was like, oh, this is hard. I don't know how I'm going to keep paying for this because I learned everything you guys teach in 2 weeks. Yet it was all really good because it introduced me to people that, they're providing their life's work to you in a coaching program or a mastermind group, and I continue to be introduced into these groups where, man, I'm meeting guys that are like, they're like family men, but they have this massive influence online. And I've never really cracked that code. And now I'm seeing like, I've had this limiting belief around like, okay, to be a social media influencer, you need to be like completely cheesy and like, here's my Lamborghini and, look at my private jet. And a lot of those things are just leased for the photo shoot. At least that's my limiting belief. There I go again. But I've met some guys lately here that are doing social media at a high level, really serving their communities and driving that into their business. And I'm like, man, once again, I think I have things figured out, and I just get into a different peer group. And all of a sudden it's like, man, the things I think are hard, these guys think are easy, right? To have 1.3 million, just had a conversation today with a guy that has 1.3 million TikTok followers. And he's a Midwest guy that has figured out how to do real estate investing in a, repeatable system. And he just shares what he's doing on a daily basis. And he's just, having massive influence and just changing lives of people that come into his world. And I'm like, crap it, if I didn't dismiss TikTok and think it was a complete waste of time, right? And so just completely entering into environments that make me uncomfortable. I've done it since like my first month in real estate. I got into a coaching program where my coaches were selling 75 to 100 homes a year. And, they had an administrator and, and then I mastered that. And then I got into a group where, the guy that led the group was selling 300-400 homes a year. And I'm like, man, I could do that. And then I mastered that group and got to the top of that group. And then I entered into a group where, guy was coaching teams that were doing 800 or 1,000 transactions. Like, gosh. And then I got into, Tony Robbins and like all these different worlds. And I just completely and consistently put myself in situations where I'm around people that are playing the game of business and the game of life in a balanced way, but at a pretty high level.